This is Albright with SCN Tech Talk, talking about Sightline. With me to talk today is Mr. Brian Schwartz, CTS, a product manager with electric screens from Legrand. Welcome, sir.
Hello, great to be here today.
Brian, first and foremost, for those of us who aren't familiar with Sightline, really quickly, kind of give me an overview of what exactly Sightline is.
Sure, no problem at all. Sightline is a cable drop option or feature, I would say, that can be added to our Advantage line of ceiling recessed electric screens. So what that does is allow the screen surface, when it unrolls from the case, it then drops from thin aircraft cable instead of having that black material at the top. And so that allows you to have extra drop on every screen you order, and you don't have that kind of unsightly black area above the image that sometimes can be a lengthy piece of material depending on how much drop you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody's never really seen kind of that extra material there, the black material, how does Sightline help then with the aesthetics of a conference room, of a banquet facility, of a conference room, or a boardroom type scenario?
Sure, yeah. Often with electric screens, especially ceiling recessed screens, you have to custom order the screen with extra black material, which we do quite often to get the image area to drop down where it needs to be from the ceiling. So instead of seeing that long leader of black above your image, it's more of a floating effect. It's the cable's so thin it can be hard to see, especially if your wall has a pattern to it. So it almost looks like a flat panel display on the wall instead of obviously a projection screen.
You mentioned a couple of times that the black leader. Why is it important to eliminate this extra fabric?
Well, a couple of reasons: the aesthetics, but even more importantly is the way it's done right now, especially on tap tension screens, which is how we do our high definition surfaces. When you order that extra material, it's a custom process. Tap tension screens have a parabolic curve on the sides. So when you order a custom black drop, you have to measure in your room, know how much you need. You have to order it with that pretty close to the exact amount, because we custom make the screen and that curve so that it tensions correctly to the whole height of the material. So you really have to get close to what you're actually going to need in that room. And then obviously that means you're custom ordering. We do a sign-off drawing. You've got some extra charge there to account for. You're eliminating that whole process of custom ordering. If you just order the image size you need with the Sightline option, you've got 70 inches of cable to play with there that you can set to whatever height you need. You don't have to tell us how much drop you need anymore. And we know that 70 inches covers 90+% of installs out there. Yeah. And really, it's not as important anymore to tell us exactly or know exactly what you need for the room.
The tap tension part is incredibly important. It's one thing that I didn't think about. Obviously I've seen kind of as you guys have developed Sightline. It's one of those things that it's interesting and intriguing when you first start looking at it. But the tap tension part is important there. Talk for a second about the differences between tap tension and non-tap tension, and when you start talking about putting Sightline in, especially in a large banquet facility, right, where you've got possibly 20, 25-foot ceilings, where you're trying to drop that screen down and make sure that it's obviously at the right height for the people that are in the seats throughout the facility, but also make sure that it's tensioned enough to make sure that the content HD 1080p up to 4K and 8K now is accurately represented and reproduced.
Right, exactly. Really, for any modern projector at this point that's 1080p and over, pretty much any projector you're going to buy, you need a screen surface that's going to let you see the full extent of that image. It's not going to interfere with that HD quality image. And so with a non-tension electric screen, it's an older style matte white. It has to be a thicker material to hang even as flat as we can get it. That has a lot of texture to it. So it's once you get over standard definition, it's going to, the texture of that non-tension material is going to interfere with your resolution. It's going to, you're going to see kind of that noise in the image of the screen surface. So our tab tension, which we've had for years, is where we've developed our very smooth HD quality surfaces, and we extrude our own vinyls to make our own screen surfaces. And so then we're able to make extremely smooth material, a type of material that's not going to color shift. It's going to give you back exactly what your projector needs. But because of the nature of it's a thinner, flexible material, to be able to get that HD quality surface, that means that you have to kind of put some weight at the bottom and tension the sides so that it doesn't curl in on itself. So it keeps it nice and flat, and you have the flattest possible image.
When you look at the product line for Daylight, where can we add or start putting in Sightline?
As of right now, it is only the Advantage line of products. So the Advantage and Tension Advantage, which are our highest running products out there. So it's commonly ordered. So that currently is the only place. The way Sightline works, it has to roll off the front of the screen roller, which is a little atypical. Normally the surface rolls off the back. That's because of the way we have to cover the roller as the screen surface rolls up for it to cover the grooves where the cable spools. So because of that, the box actually has to be a little, you have to be able to unroll from the front. So at this time, we don't offer it in a wall-mounted screen, since those cases are designed for the surface to come out of the back of the roller.
Brian, in going through some of the website, some of the stuff that you guys are talking about says that you make ordering simple. Talk about that for a second, and how, when it comes to talking to integrators and talking to consultants even that are speccing this, how does this make the ordering process simpler?
Yeah, sure. As I discussed about the process, we've tried the process of ordering a custom screen, any custom screen, but especially extra black drop is one of the most common customizations we get. We've tried to streamline that as much as possible, but it does still take some extra time quoting, sign-off drawing, because we are changing that curve like we talked about. So there's always a little bit of extra process involved in doing that. So Sightline really makes it so that you order the SKU, as long as you don't need to customize the image size, which we also can do. You don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to do a custom sign-off drawing, because you're not changing anything just to get that extra drop that you need. So painless ordering, you just place an order for the standard SKU that has Sightline, and then on site you've got adjustability to set the amount of drop you need when you install it.
Actually, that's actually where I kind of want to end up here. Is you said earlier that there were 70 inches of cable to play with. There's a lot of times where the projection screen will outlast the projector itself. So talk for a second about how you can kind of future-proof an installation. So regardless of where the projector is, regardless of where the height is and where you have to lay it, how does Sightline kind of help future-proof an installation?
Sure. And yeah, we know that when you upgrade or change a room, projection screens usually stay in there longer than the projector. It's usually going to outlive a couple projectors before you end up replacing the screen. So typically that screen's going to be in the room for a while. So really, it helps in the future if you ever need to reconfigure, change your projector, or especially maybe you're changing so there are now rows of flat seating. Now you need to raise your image so that the back row can see. You can just adjust that amount of drop. Whereas in the past, a tension screen with extra black drop, you can only adjust it about 6 inches before you're changing that curve, and you may get ripples in the image, because now you've gone beyond how we made it to tension properly. So you've got full adjustability of that 70 inches through the life of the screen if you need to reconfigure that room.
Yeah, that's really cool. Brian, as we let you kind of wrap up here, where do you see Sightline being used the most? Like if you had to kind of pick 1 or 2 or 3 ideal installations or ideal situations here, where do you see it being used the most?
Sure. Yeah. Sightline is available as an option on our Tension Advantage and Advantage ceiling recess screens. So those are very installer friendly. Customers are very familiar with these already. The Advantage case has trim flange, adjustable installation brackets, a standard with a silent motor, and a low voltage control. It also has a 5-year warranty. So even though you're adding the Sightline to it, it's the same installation that these installers are already used to. It's a very simple installer friendly process. And then the tension advantage with Sightline is available with our Parallax Stratus ALR surface, as well as our full line of HD progressive front projection surfaces.
All right, very good. Brian Schwartz, if somebody wants to find out more about Sightline, how do they do that?
Sure. Just go to legrandav.com, and there's a throw Sightline in the search, or there's also a main feature right on the main page there you can click through to see Sightline.
All right, very good. Brian Schwartz. For us, for SCN Tech Talk, you can go by our website, avnetwork.com, avnetwork.com.